The flight of today will be taking us from Vienna to Stockholm with my voice, which is just recently coming back from a cold. And these talks are just as if you and I would have met on an airplane, so these things happen. This footage begins backwards at Arlanda Airport in Stockholm, just initially in the first frames, because I was able to catch when the famous hoodie is being put on. This is what covers the bridge from which you walk on into the aircraft. And no, it is not called a hoodie like the infamous sweatshirt. It is just me talking metaphorically. This is a gaiter. So while we are waiting, I have some really good food news. My experience is that airport food tends to be terrible, except in Rome. Oh my god, their baguettes were divine. And I also got to chat with the national handball team of Norway. Really tall lads, no one below 2 meters. The hotel they stayed at had fruit for free the first day, which was the standard at the hotel, and after the team had had some, the free fruit was no more. Anyway, now when Arlanda is being rebuilt, there are good food places establishing. There is the quality bakery Gâteau, which means cake, and the burger place called Bun Meat Bun, coming up in winter. They have great burgers. Okay, and by the way, we have started walking, as you obviously see. I have to finish my point about the food. So, when there was a trendy burger wave in Stockholm, like 10 years ago, burger places kept opening up. Me and my friend took the train across the entire city to try them, and they have expanded their franchise since. My recommendation is usually the milkshake, but not the fries. Such places are experts in burgers, but they do not master the art of French fries, because they're focusing on the signature piece, the burger. And have a quick look now under the wing, and that number which you see on the body of the aircraft. It is like the license plate on a car. It is unique on every aircraft. It is some people's hobby to observe and write that number down. I was on such an observation hill nearby Arlanda and met a British lawyer doing that. He had a notebook with him and said it makes him relaxed. That hill is a viewpoint where also families come together to see the takeoffs and landings. The same lawyer told me that on Sundays, when there used to be double-deckers taking off for Thailand, it was a big family event to come and watch this huge machine for many families. And it is a magnificent thing. We will be flying in it. And now, instant shopping. We have switched to Austrian Airlines now. They have an egg cooker that sounds like Mozart's music when it's ready. I can list at least 3 reasons for why this is a great gift. Flying both to and from Vienna with Austrian Airlines, I experienced something that has not happened to me before. I sat by the emergency exits both times, but that is not the surprising part. Flying to Vienna, I had to confirm online that I was okay with sitting by the exit, that I was not pregnant, and able to lift the door if needed. This is otherwise something that the crew is asking already when you are seated at that particular spot. Well, not about the pregnancy. So, good job on the progress, I think. Flying from Vienna, I again ticked all the boxes online before checking in, agreeing that I was not injured and could lift the emergency door, which usually is 17.5 kilograms. But that was not enough. Before boarding, my ticket would not let me through. The system went red and beeping. When I came to see the staff, they wanted to be assured that I indeed was fine with sitting by the emergency exit. Yes, I said. Then you can proceed. This is a very smart way of doing the request. And here, When returning to Stockholm, my windows were huge as if I was at the cinema, hence the great views you are about to see. So now we are accelerating from Vienna. You will see some beautiful clouds today. Actually, there is a Dutch artist that has managed to create clouds indoors. They only last for 5 to 10 seconds, I checked, but still, who wouldn't want to have that superpower to surprise others with at parties? His name is, I hope I got the pronunciation right, Berndo Smilde, and all he needs is smoke and water vapor and a cold and damp space with no air circulation. And a fog machine that creates tiny particles for the vapor to condense around. Ta-da! Okay, I would not be bringing a fog machine to parties or host parties at damp places with no air circulation, but you get my happy point. We are now making a big turn to left and we are tilting as well. So you will see the wing to the left now sort of dip into the green below us. This is perfectly normal and to me very exciting because, for starters, you get to see more of what is around the airplane. The opposite side obviously goes up, but with the tip pointing towards the sky is all you get to see. So this end is better. It's just that you cannot know for certain in advance what route the aircraft will be taking, so even selecting the best seat does not guarantee this wonderful view. By the way, I mentioned the emergency exit. I met 2 passengers recently who told me that they are so tall, their legs so long, their only option to have a comfortable flight is to actively selecting a seat in the emergency area. Now you see the tilt that I explained before, and we get to see rain from a distance. Do you see it in the upper left corner? That pillar of fog stretching down to the ground is rain. And here is the river, which should be the Danube according to the map, the most international river in the world, as a German lady I met called it, because it crosses so many countries. When I was a teenager, probably aged 13, we learned that these colorful strips of land for growing crops is called teg in Swedish. And when I try to find a similar term in English, I find celian, but it says it's medieval and typically 1 acre large. I'm definitely not able to tell the crops apart at this height. Is anyone? Do tell in the comments if this is possible at all. Oh, I love these rays of sunshine. Since we last spoke, I collected a few stories from my co-passengers. One of them remembered the storm Gudrun in southern Sweden in 2005. It was a very particular storm. It made cows fall over, and it harvested tons and tons of wood against the owner's well. So, my co-passenger happened to be in the area after the storm. This was in Växjö, southern Sweden, where the starting and landing stretch of the airport in the city was completely covered with tree trunks, maybe 13 meters wide and 25 meters tall. That was his estimation. A lot of people came to see this, and someone was smart and opened a cafe right there, right among all those tree trunks. If people are coming to watch, they could just as well have a cup of coffee. You have to be smart with your business. On a different flight, the passenger right next to me told me about Luleå Airport in northern Sweden. This passenger was now returning to Germany after a business trip. The sun was bright, the sky all clear. The particularity about Luleå is that this airport is shared with the military, and the military, from what I know, always gets to go first when landing. So, 1 week prior, this gentleman was about to land in Luleå. It was sunny and nice and bright, just not right where the airport was. The entire place was covered with a big grey cloud. So they began making circles. 1, 2, third circle, fourth circle. Then there was a small clearing, but the control tower prioritized a military aircraft to land first. And when the pilot finally could go down and was just about to touch ground, they went up again. The cloud was so dense that the pilot couldn't see anything, and he did not want to take any risks on ground. My co-passenger continued. I got to see the harbor 6 times from above, and then the captain announced, I have enough fuel for us to go back to Stockholm if needed. Before the guided tour repeated itself a 7th time, they were finally able to land. For my part, I like knowing what types of clouds that I see not only when flying, but also when on ground. World Meteorological Organization, WMO, is the international organization responsible for the International Cloud Atlas and has decided how clouds are classified and reported. It took some time to find a common system. The British chemist Luke Howard created the base in the early 1800s. In 1896, the first International Cloud Atlas was published and started spreading internationally. It has been improved a couple of times since. As late as in 2017, we got a cloud atlas adapted to the web. According to this system, there are 10 major types of clouds and about 100 combinations. The stripes of condensation that are left after airplanes in the air are considered as clouds if they stay in the sky for longer than 10 minutes and are then described as cirrus or cirrus homogenitus. Excuse my Latin, I'm so sorry, because they have been created by humans, therefore the homogenitus part. I would really like to see nacreous clouds, or mother of pearl clouds, as they are also called, or polar stratospheric clouds. They are formed on an altitude of 20 to 30 kilometers, which is twice as far up as the common clouds. For them to appear, it has to be around minus 78 degrees and somewhere higher up north, like in Scotland, Scandinavia, Antarctica. They look like a shimmering mother of pearl or like a patchy rainbow in the sky, and it can be dark around them. Looking at the clouds in front of us now, I would say this is Cumulus mediocris and Cumulus congestus closest to us. There are more things happening in the sky. Myself, I moved to northern Sweden, where all distances are long. So when I say I live not too far from Kiruna, that is actually a distance of 3 hours by car, 233 kilometers. And look at this footage. So this is me going back from Gällivare, and there is a dot on the sky. That dot is something very special. And we are about to descend now, so I will tell you the story about this particular dot. And let's get back to the fact that outside of Kiruna, which is in northern Sweden, there is the Swedish Space Station, Esrange. From 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, every day, there is a small museum that you can enter for free. You're offered cookies and tea and coffee for free, and there is no staff. If you're lucky, you can see different launches in the sky, and pre-book guided tours of the area. When experiments are conducted in the air, it can be space rockets fired up, but also stratospheric balloons. And that dot was a stratospheric balloon. A stratospheric balloon is as thick as the average freezer bag that you put into your refrigerator. It is typically 200 meters in diameter, 1.3 million cubic meters, and filled with helium. The material is polyethylene. Imagine, it can carry instruments that are more than 2 tons. It measures different meteorological phenomena and is typically placed somewhere between 20 and 50 kilometers up in the sky. For comparison, air traffic, so airplanes, do not rise higher than 20 kilometers above ground. The people who live in Kiruna area are always getting notifications, and there are different zones of danger announced when you approach S-range. The overall impact area is 5,600 square kilometers of tundra. The zones are divided into A, B, and C. Zones B and C are impact areas for the second rocket stage and the experiment payload. Payloads land with a parachute and are collected by helicopter. So you can imagine how thrilled I was to see this balloon in the air. And we're just about to start landing now. So while we do that, I will actually read you an email, because that footage was me being very happy when seeing that dot in the air. This was 2 consecutive days in the end of June, and as a reminder, I was going by car in the middle of the night, which in June, above the polar circle where I live, means that it was sunny as if it was daytime. So I emailed Swedish Space Corporation and asked, and this is the answer. Dear Jana, indeed this was one of the balloons launched from S-range, actually belonging to the French space agency CNES and accommodating many scientific equipment, like ones from IRF Kiruna. The balloon called Transat stayed quite a while over Gällivare area since there was almost no wind on that day. You can actually see the same phenomenon today with another balloon called Atmosphere, right now above Kiruna area. Once the wind is rising, the balloon will move away according to wind direction. Moreover, the balloon is made to stay up in the air for many days. Some balloons can even stay several weeks in the stratosphere, because the whole balloon is at equilibrium. If you want the balloon to go up or down, then we have ways to pilot it. Otherwise, if you want to stop a flight, we have telecommand or sometimes automatic systems to open the balloon. For your information, Transnet has landed yesterday in North Canada. Thank you for your question. Kind regards, Swedish Space Corporation. And now we have landed in Sweden. You can see the control tower at the distance, which is named after 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, after Swedish mythology. These 2 ravens are said to survey the earth, and that is the control tower in the middle. The tower is decorated with quotes from Antoine Saint-Exupéry, who was both an author and pilot. Don't forget to comment regarding my question about seeing crops from above, and see you maybe on the next flight.